In Britain, we get through a vast amount and variety of fruit and vegetables each year. A large proportion of this is distributed through New Covent Garden, Europe's supermarket. As far back as the Middle Ages, the citizens of London, many of whom didn't own their own piece of land, bought their fruit and vegetables from a market. Those living near to the Abbey of Westminster bought surplus fruit and vegetables grown in the convent garden. As the population of London expanded, villagers from further out also came to Westminster to buy and sell produce. By the middle of the 20th century, the situation had become impossible. Trade was always increasing, and despite the erection in the 19th century of new buildings, there was never enough room. Over the years, the market had spread out from its original designated area into 5 main buildings and the surrounding streets. The accumulation of so many problems meant that the market had to be rebuilt. In fact, as long ago as the 19th century, there was talk of finding the market a new home. But it wasn't until 1961 that an Act of Parliament directed the newly formed Market Authority to find an answer to the ever-increasing problems created by the market's success.
My name is Lynn Edwards. I'm an architect, and I was employed by the Architects to Covent Garden Market, GMW. So when I joined GMW in 1972, the design for the market was well advanced. Feasibility studies had been carried out from about 1965. I seem to recall there were 4 or 5 options from which this site at Nine Elms was chosen. So in 1972, the design of the flower market had been completed and construction had started. And after joining GMW, I fairly soon became the project architect for Market Towers and subsequently the whole of the northern site, which included the flower market.
The planners, architects and builders set out to build the foremost market in Europe, and they had the space to build it, 68 acres of it. Building began in 1971. This was one of the biggest single construction projects in London for many years, and at its peak, the building force numbered nearly 1,000 men.
This gave the traders a whole new lease of life in terms of the space they accommodated, particularly in terms of loading and unloading of produce, how we handled it, how it was stored and so on and so forth. They had much more space. So dealing with the construction, it was intense, it was very fast. We had 4 separate teams. I do remember colleagues doing details of the fruit and veg market, which of course is 400 yards, as it was in those days, long. So if you added a small steel angle for whatever reason to the external facade, you had to bear in mind that you just ordered a 1-mile length of material. And it's the scale of that we all had to bear in mind. Obviously, a site previously used for railway sidings and other industrial uses is bound to be polluted. On the site of Market Towers, the contractor, who was Sir Robert McAlpine, was reporting that they'd been pouring ready-mix concrete down a pile and it seemed to be endless. We discovered a previously uncharted stream. Very late on in the construction of the project, we discovered a Roman burial ground. And I can only assume that these were quite important Romans because they were all in lead coffins. Fortunately, the removal of the coffins didn't hold up construction too much. But it certainly gave us a bit of a scare. I think every architect is inspired by seeing the design that he's worked on or the drawings that he's worked on come into fruition. When I take the train from home into Waterloo, for example, I always make a point of sitting on the right side of the train so I can see what's going on not only in the market but in the area. And I certainly remember the day that we arrived on site for the opening, and my friends and family who came to join saying how impressed they were when they exited the subway of Vauxhall Tube Station to see this huge 22-story building in front of them.
It gives me great pleasure to declare the new Covent Garden Market open, and I wish success to everyone concerned with this notable enterprise.
It must have been about 67, 68, 1960. I was one wonderful summer morning right at the top of James Street by the tube station, looking down James Street into Covent Garden. And I thought, wow, this is a fantastic place. I knew Covent Garden, I'd been going through it for years. But suddenly I saw it differently. And I thought, I've got to work here. I just loved the way people move. I loved the interaction between produce, money, and people. And the work that, and that whole thing of connecting with people. And so I began to photograph. And I've just developed this whole love of the marketplace. It was out in the open, a lot of it. It wasn't such an enclosed thing. There were streets, and of course all the shops or all the wholesalers had their wares out into the street. So of course it meant that it was out there in all weathers. And I think this was one of the keys that the old market, the people of the market, was that I wasn't what they called a fair weather photographer. I was there in the pissing rain. I was there on cold, snowy mornings. I was there when it was just plain miserable, as well as the wonderful sunshine. What was so wonderful, it was just being in that sort of, the whole sort of camaraderie of the people that were working there, and the exchange of goods and exchange of money, and the banter and the pubs, and where they could leave a barrow outside, go in, have a quick, and out again. When this market, this flower market opened 45 years ago, you had a lot of single family businesses, single men wholesalers in their little stalls. And of course, as the florists and the flower shops disappeared, they were not able to make a living. So of course they began to coalesce together, and now you have about 15 main flower people. What we do have to remember, and we have to face up to this fact, is that of course the market has changed dramatically over the last 45 years. You cannot work in a place coming in with all guns blazing without knowing them. The moment people are confronted with a strange camera, they stiffen up, they change, and it can be a very subtle change, but it is a change. I have this insatiable appetite for creation, this insatiable appetite for people and community, an insatiable appetite for light. And I want to, and that's why I'm a photographer, I want to say, look at this. I know, bang, look at this wonderful picture. Look at the way they do it, look at the light, look at the colours. And of course, now that I'm towards the end of my life, I can look back and think, if I could have only seen then what I know now. I want these pictures to go on long after I'm gone, and so one is thinking about, I want to show it as it really was, and to get that feeling and that atmosphere. But the extraordinary thing is that I know that the ordinary pictures that I'm doing today, as they were 50 years ago in the old market, are going to become extraordinary. They're going to say, really, was it really like that in 50 years' time?
Yes, Tone? All the businesses around me are my competitors, but none of them would fail to help me out if I needed it. You know, if somebody has a shortage of a product, I can go and borrow it from one of my competitors. There's a real sense of community here. It's nice, it makes it a nice environment to work in. There's a lot of banter. You have to be fairly thick-skinned, but that's all part and parcel. It's, we smile a lot, and that's what it's all about. What you got? Basically, we arrive on the market around about 10 o'clock. We have to hit the floor running, the phones are ringing. There's emails to deal with, which are customers that have placed orders over email. We also have to make sure that the products that are arriving are what we've ordered, the quantity's right, the quality's right. We put a display on so that our customers that are walking past are able to see what products we've got and what condition those products are in. And then it's a case of trying to straighten the stand up, tidy up, get everything stacked away, put into cold rooms, and start to then assess what we're going to need for the following day's trade. Would you have a turmeric there, please? Could I borrow a box, please? I was going to send young Paul down to come and grab it. We're a traditional wholesaler. The vast majority of our customers are catering distributors. So these guys they'll come and give us a wholesale order. We'll deliver it to their premises, and then their orders are a lot more bespoke. So they'll take our full boxes of product and break them down into individual weights or individual pieces of fruit, depending on the product, and then slowly build their order for their customer. We have three sort of main departments. We have the exotic side, which is the desk that I'm on, which covers everything from sort of limes to avocados, papayas, right through to the really weird and wonderful, the prickly pears and tamarillos. My kids sometimes ask me to bring something different, so I try and educate them along the way and take something for them to try, whether it be a red pitahaya. It's very visually, it's very entertaining. It's not quite what you would expect in the inside, but a very nice fresh taste that often ends up on some high-end restaurants on their fruit platters. So my kids particularly enjoy that. They might get that one today. My father came into this business when Covent Garden was based at its original location. He followed his father into the business, and that was the beginning for me, really, when I was old enough, working here during the summer holidays, half terms, and just really enjoying it, just enjoying the sort of freedom of working and the environment and the camaraderie that I mentioned earlier. It's been a nice way to grow into the business with somebody that you can trust 100% has got your best interests at heart. If I can get halfway as good as he was, then I've done well, I've done very well. But that's the goals and the ambition, is to make him proud, make my family proud, and do a good job, you know. Unfortunately, I was very ill 3 years ago, which meant I was unable to work. The support from this market, you know, not just my own company, which was phenomenal, but to have customers, suppliers, you know, 2 or 3 phone calls every single week for 4 months from people seeing how you are, anything they can do for you. Do you want me to pick the kids up? Do you want me to drop something around for you? That makes a very, very tough period in my life a lot easier to deal with. The rise of the supermarkets has been the demise of the high street greengrocer. It's changed the face of our business that used to be predominantly a retail customer base to, certainly in this market, to a more focused catering supplier customer base. The explosion of restaurants in London has fueled that, which is fantastic. But in the same breath, people are cooking more indoors, more experimentally. They're trying new products. My dad used to go to work at 5, 6 in the morning, and now we're here at 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, it has changed considerably, and probably will continue to. As things evolve, things have to change. It's as simple as that.
Mother's Day used to be the busiest day of the year, but Valentine's has overtaken it. Red roses probably treble in price. This year won't be so good because of on a Saturday. Wives don't really get too much. It's more the girlfriends. My wife's a florist as well, so she's very busy. So we probably celebrate ours after, when we've taken all the money. See how much we've got to spend. You never see that, right? I met my first wife in Mallorca many years ago. She thought I was French and I thought she was Swedish. And we was both disappointed. You know. She was from Yorkshire, I was from London. I was born in Drury Lane, in the old Covent Garden. Well, in the old market, you had to sell the flowers in the winter the same day. They froze up. In the summer, they used to go, they had a day to sell them. I was banged up there a few times in the old market, drunk and disorderly. Those were my younger days. And I suppose I've done every job you can in the market, porter, salesman, buyer. Sounds like about time I went, really. Excuse me, the phone's going. Hello? Oh, Soph. I'll try and order it for you for tonight, yeah? We get Harry Krishna come in, buying flowers, £100,000 bar mitzvahs, big weddings. We've done the BAFTA awards the other night. You know, I've done flowers for Diana's funeral. So I've got someone just take something down there. I just want to write it down so I don't forget. You know, it's important we don't miss anybody. They come in and spend 2 or 3 grand, so we don't let them go. Tulips. I'm going to finish off the roses in a sec.
Yep, brilliant.
I think the people who I serve, they trust me. I won't give people old flowers. And I care about what I do.
I'm absolutely in love with that red rose.
I know, I opened one up, I didn't realise how nice they were. You know, we have a laugh and a joke, you know, we have family tragedy, you know, we're friends as well as business associates. And I think that's why we do so well. This is John Carter, by the way, he's one of the top florists in London.
Oh, well.
Or in the world.
26 tables, I need definitely 300 stems.
All right, I've ordered the ranunculus, the cloning ranunculus.
Snakes in 300 definitely.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Dad.
All right, John. I knew him when he was a junior, worked for one of my older customers. Now he's his own boss. We say we're wholesalers of the year, twice on the spin. If you do, what about if you say with any trade, if you do well, a lot of people don't like it, you know. But tough, you know. That's what I look at.
I've always loved flowers, and I think because my mum was a florist as well, I was constantly fiddling and making stuff, potions and perfumes, and I would spend my days just running around the garden and picking flowers, pulling all the apple blossom off before the apples had started, and generally not really playing with anything else bar flowers. And my grandparents were in Cornwall and had a lovely garden, and my nana would always sort of walk me around and show me her favourite flowers and her favourite colours. And so I think my interest in flowers really started then. Yeah, so people always say how lovely it is to have a florist working here, and it cheers everyone up. especially on a Monday when I've got like buckets and buckets full of flowers, because it's probably a lot more attractive than looking at an industrial site next to a railway track. I like to just buy en masse and then I work it all out from there, kind of like going into the garden and picking out stuff. So I find it easier just to see everything and then put it together. I did an art degree, so when I graduated I started looking around at different creative jobs, and because my work was sort of quite floral based and I've always loved flowers, it sort of made sense to start working with flowers. When I was doing my degree, all my work was sort of scented and it was to do with memory. So I made sort of installations of porcelain petals that were scented. And I always try, and whenever I work with flowers, use the scented ones, like the sort of sweet peas and garden roses. I always remember the smell of muscari, which is grape hyacinth, which grew in our garden, and I used to pull all the little bobbles off and I used to mush them up with water and talcum powder. And that smell always reminds me of, it brings back memories straight away as soon as I can smell it.
My studio is at the end of a little terrace. I love actually the winter time. It's really quiet and I feel on another planet. It's a wonderful tiny space where I can completely connect with drawing and shut out the outside world. I live in Wandsworth and New Covent Garden Flower Market is my local market, and it just happens to be the most fabulous market, and it's just extraordinary. It can be the depth of winter, very little going on outside, everything's in hibernation, and you walk into the market and there's colour, there's beautiful blooms, and it's really somewhere I visit quite often because I find it so inspiring. I heard about the huge regeneration project and change that the market is moving for the third time, and I became really interested in this. And I felt I really wanted to create a series of artwork inspired by this location, and it was very important to me to include both the building, the plants, and an element of the architecture. I went many times and I took rubbings from the building. It was very important to me to somehow communicate a bit of the essence of the market. When I first began this project, I felt the flowers were in flux and a constantly evolving, changing, moving landscape. But I now begin to realise that actually the architecture is the changing part. I always wanted to be an artist. I didn't know what type of artist. I think I grew up sort of in the countryside and surrounded by nature, but actually coming to art school in London probably made me notice the nature that I was missing. I really do think drawing is very similar to language, and then you allow people to read your drawings and an insight into your thoughts. I think the nature within an urban situation is very precious, and London is a very green city, and I've been drawing and being inspired by the nature that I've found within the city for many years.
I think most architects who build buildings are always slightly disappointed when they are demolished and rebuilt. But it's been happening to me now for quite a while. So I guess I've become slightly immune to it. So it's fascinating, the development, for example, of the Embassy Quarter and everything that surrounds that, and now the construction of the new market. It will always be a fascination, but tinged with a slight sadness that the buildings that one was involved in, particularly I think at the outset of one's career, are truly redundant and they are in need of replacement. I mean, I recognise that many people, particularly the occupants of buildings, whether they were designers or builders or owners for that matter, do end up, especially if they've lived in the building for a long time, with a great attachment to it. But for economic and indeed social reasons, we have to move on. And that, I guess, is the situation here in the flower market at New Covent Garden Market.
So people always think that architecture is about the buildings, the physical form of what we do, and that's how I started out really, and that's what I was thinking about when I wanted to become an architect. But actually, it's important when you're thinking about the design of a building to consider the users of the building, the community. So we have to make sure that whatever we're designing and the way it functions suits the people who work here, and hopefully brightens and makes their life more interesting. It's really exciting to be working for Covent Garden. I don't just say that in the corporate sense, but it's a fantastic brand. They've been around for centuries now. It's a real privilege to be involved in making a mark in the redevelopment of their market. And the amount of change that's going on around here is phenomenal. It's extraordinary. So when we start looking at the design of any building, you have some simple programmatic things you have to achieve. We knew we had to achieve a certain area for this market. We've got to fit in a certain number of vans, but also there's that feeling you had when you walked around the flower market. So you want to be able to bring the mechanical requirements of the market together with that sense of place that you saw in the first place and how you imagine it can become. So when I was first considering architecture, I didn't imagine that I would ever have worked on something of this scale, really. I became interested in architecture, I suppose, when I was in my mid-teens. My parents were having a house built, and just visiting it every day was fantastic. So seeing things being built is really exciting. I've always enjoyed that. So now I'm standing in front of the Garden Heart, which is one of many pieces that are going to be created in this very large complex, miles away from the sort of work that I envisaged I was doing, possibly house building or residential work. I mean, it started looking at my parents' house, but it's immensely satisfying and great to be involved in it, really.
I love coming to the market because every time the doors open, there's something new to discover. It changes every season, and this is what inspires us to do what we do. It's the lifeblood of our industry.
This market is very important. It's got quality, you get choices of flowers, the price is great.
I like the atmosphere, I like that I can actually see what I'm buying rather than buying it online. There's competition where people are hungry, so you get a better price sometimes, and these are basically all my friends.
What I love about this market is the atmosphere and the beauty of flowers. I'm really passionate and I love flowers.
Selling something pretty is kind of easy, so that's why it's great to work here. If you're selling something ugly, I think you're going to struggle here.
I'll miss it because I'm so used to coming here every week and the sort of hustle and bustle, but I'm looking forward to going to the new one as well. I think it'll be interesting to see.
It's been great coming here, and I feel like it's the sort of old-fashioned way of doing things, but I think it needs to modernise, so it's going to be really exciting going to the new market and seeing that new energy.
It's been good to us. It's a convenient, large working space for our needs. It's going to be a bit of squash over the new market, but I think it'll work. I'm positive it'll work.
Yeah, I've had some great times here. It really has. It's been a fantastic place to work, but we obviously are going to move, and the next place will be a fantastic place to work because it's the same people in there. Onwards and upwards. Off we go.
It's an emotional day for lots of you. I know there's people here who came from the previous market to this market and are moving on to the next market on Monday. And we really wanted to just signal the end of an era with all of you and an opportunity to say goodbye to the old flower market. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Colin, who's going to signal close of trading.
Well, good luck for the future, everybody. I hope it's as good as we've had in here and the last one.
Yeah. Can I see everybody to the new market? Take that bell, Colin.
Surprisingly, I'm a little bit emotional about it, to tell you the truth. I didn't think I would be, but 43 years is a long time, and it just looks like it's being dismantled as you're watching it. It's also good in a way that I feel like on Monday I'm starting a new job. You know, going to work for the first time somewhere different, but we all are. So, yeah, I'm very positive about it. It's been here a long time.
It feels quite strange. There's always such a buzz here every morning that seeing it without any people inside, it does feel very odd. I think this place is a little bit outdated now, and I think it's ready for a new building, fresh slate, fresh, you know, clean everything really. That black line is the height that the truck is that is going. It'll just lose the top spines. They don't need them anyway. Hang on.
Oh, we're all right.
Are we in? Yeah, just. It's doesn't exactly feel like a move, a full-on move. It just feels like a sort of slight repositioning, I suppose.
It's a bit weird seeing this place start to empty out. I'm excited to go over to a new place, to be fair. I think there are a lot of people who are worried, but I think the worries will stop as soon as they go in there. I think it'll help improve it, if anything.
The last morning of trading was a little bit sad, but a lot of old faces came up to see us, to shake hands, and another couple of hours and it's all over. I should think when it comes to finishing and walking through the doors for the last time, that'll be a bit emotional. And there we go straight to the doors of the new one. Start again.
The move has gone really well. Everyone's been working flat out. From walking around the market today, I get the sense that most people are happy and they're settling well into their new home.
I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, I can see where we're going with it, and it's still a little daunting yet. We're still a long way from being finished.
A lot of man hours, a lot of teamwork, a lot of cooperation. Pickford's have been good. They've been really helpful getting it all across with us.
The main bit of the move, the final bits were over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, which was a bit traumatic because we had a wedding at the same time. But it was actually very smooth because we were going out of somewhere into somewhere bigger.
Really, they come and took the stuff away from the old market, all the dust as well. Brought it up for tonight, dropped it all off. All looks rather lovely.
Hopefully the new market will just be a bit more efficient, a bit more clean and tidy, less mice.
Got rid of all the stock we wanted to, and basically there wasn't much to bring over. New market, new start.
had most of the deliveries in tonight. Everybody's first day trading today. You can have a laugh with the drivers. The first port of call is they're here. So if you're nice to them, they won't get the ump going somewhere else. Take the mickey out of them. I was going to say something else there.
It looks really smart and how a market really should look. I'm ready a couple of hours earlier than I wanted to be, so I'm really happy with it all.
You know, the old market was quite dark and dingy and didn't always show the flowers off to the best, whereas this is much lighter and brighter.
With the new space, we decided that we would take a new approach, obviously, and go for a showroom effect rather than everything stuck on trolleys and on shelves. We just wanted a whole new shopping experience and a lot of people to look forward to coming to the flower market.
Good luck, everybody! Whee!
Went to the old market for 23 years. This morning's the first morning here. Literally been here, I don't know, 15 minutes now. And with what I see so far, yeah, I'm really impressed.
Everyone seems to like their space and stuff. I was kind of worried it would be like an airport, but it feels like it already has there's a bit of crack.
It is very futuristic though.
It is.
Everyone's going to be on hover trolleys.
The whole place just, you know, offsets the planet beautifully.
It looks more like you're at an exhibition, doesn't it? Which is quite a nice feel.
It's like just like a street, really, isn't it? And I think it looks very smart. I like the space. Oh, thank you, Dave. Yes, I'll have a tray of those. Never miss a sale.
Quite honestly, it's set up the way it should be. It's warm. You feel comfortable walking around. This is like being in Paris at the flower market. Well organised. Touche to everyone.
We've been here for 3 weeks now, and it's I'm really pleased with it. It's really good. It really works for us very well. We've got much more space. It's much cleaner and tidier.
Yeah, business has been very good on the whole. I think there's quite a lot of new faces. Very good, all good.
It's really different. It's very light, which is great for choosing flowers, and the doors are great. You don't get stuck in them anymore with your trolleys.
Everyone seems to like the space I've got. It's clean and bright and tidy. I'm seeing the same old customers I was before.
It's coming together. Everybody's trying to work with one another. There's a couple of little teething problems, but generally from the customers and the wholesalers, they seem to be getting on with it and things seem to be working. So very soon it'll all be forgotten and we'll be cracking on here. So looking forward to it.